All right. There's you can take over.
Okay, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello, can you guys Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, good evening once more. So my name is Ugu Adesi and I'm a front-end developer. So basically today we're going to be speaking on web development from front end to back end. We're going to be seeing the all that entails in web development. We're going to be seeing the courses on front end, the core technologies. We're going to be seeing a lot and how the both of them relates to each other. Okay, so can you move to the next slide, please? Okay, so before we move forward, we'd like to have a little icebreaker. So what's something that you used to hate but you now like? I would like if you can write it down in the comments. Something you used to
Oh, you
hate,
can unmute your mic and
but
say
now.
it. I think we're not there.
Sorry, please. What did you say?
I think they can unmute their mic and say it.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I just call someone.
Oh, okay. So, Deborah, can we hear from you? Something you used to hate, but you now like. Hello, Deborah. Can you hear me? Okay, so can we hear from you, Emeka, please?
Okay, for me, I didn't used to like ukwa. I used to hate it for some reason, but all of a sudden I started liking it. So it's one of those things, one of those foods I can remember. But ukwa, I didn't used to like ukwa at all when I was younger. But as I grew older, I started liking it. In fact, I even buy it almost every week. Like I take ukwa and this and so that's something I used to hate. But and I like no, I like ukwa.
When you no, I mean when you hated it, like does that affect you when you eat it or
But I just
something?
didn't like the
Or you
taste
just
that time. I don't know why I went 180 on it, but I didn't really like it before. I didn't really like it.
okay,
Was just a meeting. I didn't really like it. Was it taste or something?
okay. Ugo is can we hear from you?
Okay, good evening.
Evening.
Ugo, can we hear from you?
Yes, please, I'm speaking. Can you hear
Good
me?
evening.
Okay, personally,
Yeah.
I would say is programming. Like when I was in school, I never liked programming, probably because of the theory aspect of it. But then after school and I picked interest, and then I was still finding it difficult trying to understand um the things around programming, all those the centers and the rest of them. Not until I was put through, and then I started liking it. And now I want to, but I can't wait to perfect and start earning from it. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. That's good one. I actually didn't like coding at first. So when my brother forced me to start, it was like hell. I felt like this guy hated me so much because it was really frustrating me learning all the syntax and all. It was frustrating. But then over time, I started liking it, started reading documentation. I hate reading also, but with time, I had to adjust and the likeness started and all of that. So, Abraham, you're welcome. So we're speaking on something you used to hate, but you now like. I don't know. Can you share anything to us? Abraham, can you hear me?
Yeah. Me too. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. So is there
Yeah,
anything
so
you used to hate?
yeah, I see. I would say hate, but I don't like it. But I'm still doing it.
Okay. So what's that?
It's programming. Although it was my uncle that introduced me to it, like was like going to tech. There's money in tech. His friends way back, they are big boys now. Going to tech. I said, let me give it a try. Give it a try. Some days I will like it, some days I will not like it. But
Yeah, I
now
understand
I'm
that.
stuck with it.
Wait, the funny thing is that we're all stuck with it, right? So some days it's encouraging, it's sweet, it's fun, and then some days it's just really, really frustrating. You just want to end this
Yeah.
thing, but I guess we'll stuck with it. Okay, um, that's a good one. So, can you move on to the next slide, please? Okay, so we're going to be looking at web development in general. So yeah, I said, have you looked at a stunning website, right, or use a seamless mobile app and wondered how it all came about? So I know that we've countless times we've gone through websites, we've seen mobile apps, and then the way the thing looks captivating, the it's user friendly, it's just so good and all of that. So have you ever had an idea for a digital project or you bring it to life? Okay, so there was this time I was cooking and then all of a sudden my gas just stopped and it was really frustrating. It was in the middle of the night and the food was like half done and all of that. So when I had that experience, I had this like, okay, I need to create a solution for this. And I actually started working on something concerning that, still in the work process, right? So there are times when you have this idea, you have this um, digital product you want to actually bring to life. So all these things have been made possible through what web development. So web development is the process of building, maintaining websites and web applications. It involves a combination of code, design, and problem solving to create online experiences. So having to combine both the building, the maintenance, the coding, the design, everything. When you combine everything, we're just talking about what web development. So please move on to the next slide. Thank you. Emeka, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I was switching to the next slide.
Oh, okay. But were you guys hearing me before? Because I think my
Yes, we were.
network is not.
But
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the key aspects of web development. Right, the first one we're going to be looking at is front end development. which focuses on the website's users. Which focuses on the parts of the website users interact with, including the layout, the design, the user experience. So whenever you log into a website, the parts that you can see, right, the part that you can interact with, the buttons, the layouts, the designs that you can actually see, it's all about the front end word development. And then the back end development deals with the server sides of the website, deals with handling data storage, deals with processing and logic, right? So when you want to retrieve a data and you want to maybe interact with the button and stuff like that. So whatever happens at the back, right, to ensure that the website works perfectly, it's called what? The backend development. And then the full stack development is the combination of both, right? Having the skills for both front end and the back end, allowing developers to work on all aspects of a website. So a person can actually be a full stack developer if the person have the skills for both back end and front end. I hope I'm not too fast. I hope I'm clear. Are you guys with me? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. Okay, so can you move on to the next slide? Okay, so let's look at example. Okay, since I'm not sharing my screen, no, please go back. Can you like open Dom's website?
You can share it on the on the chat. Let me open it.
So just open any website for me, any website of your choice. You can open, yes, just the academy's website. Okay. So the front end development, right, is what we can see, right? You can see the designs. We can see, can you scroll up? The buttons, the layouts, well aligned, well arranged, right? It's not scattered, it's well arranged and all of that. So being able to interact with all of this interface, right, is the front end. Now, what happens at the back when you click on a button? Maybe you try to enroll in a course and you expect the course to like generate information, data concerning those courses. Whatever happens there happens in the back, right? The server side, that is what? The back end. So what you can see is the front end. So if you want to go into front end, you know that you're focusing on what the user can actually interact with, right? And then the whole logic and the whole processing and all of that happens in the back end, which is the back end, right? Okay, so let's go back to the slide and move to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to be explaining in details front-end development. So front-end development is creating the part of a website or application that the users directly interact with, which is what I've just explained to us, interacting with the buttons, the layouts, and all of that. So it's about transforming ideas into functional, visually appealing, and user-friendly experiences, right? So when the designer designs a website and all of that, it is the duty of the front-end developer to transform those designs into functional and visually appealing experiences, which are actually what? User-friendly, right? Now, essentially, everything you see and interact with on a website, from the layout and the colors to the buttons and animation, is the work of a front-end developer. So the goal is to create an intuitive and enjoyable user experience that looks great and works seamlessly across different designs. Now, it is one thing to build a website, and it's another thing for it to work in different design devices, right? So I don't know, can you go back to that website? Okay, can you like open the developer store so we can see the different screen sizes? Okay, so now if you notice, we'll be looking at the website in the desktop mode, right? The desktop view, and it's well aligned and all of that. Now, looking at it in the mobile version, that means when you build a website, the user should be able to view it in different screens, either through their mobile phones, their desktop, or the laptops, or their tablet as well, right? So it should be responsive in different devices. So please, can you scroll up? So if you notice, although this is a mobile design, mobile screen, it's still what responsive. It is not scattered, it is well what aligned. So the function of a front-end developer is to be able to what to make your design perfect in all screens, right? Make your design user-friendly, make your design responsive in all screens. Okay, so can we go back to the slide? Thank you. Okay, yeah, to the next slide. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the core technologies, right? Core technologies. So here we have HTML, hypertext markup language. So sometimes people say, I'm learning a programming language, and the programming language is HTML. So HTML is actually a markup language, right? So it defines the structure of the web page, outlining headings, paragraphs, image, and links. Most times when I teach people front end development, I when it comes to HTML, I try to make them see that HTML is actually like the human skeleton, right? It's like the human skeleton is the structure of your code. Okay, it's like the foundation. It's let's just leave it at the skeleton, right? The structure of your whole code. It defines how your layout goes, the web page, the outlining, and all of that. Now, CSS, which is cascading style sheet, it's all about styling your code, right? So the styles, the visual presentation of web page, controlling colors, fonts, layout, and responsiveness. So CSS is just like your body, right? Covering your skeleton. It styles your page. Okay, because HTML is plain, but then with CSS you can make your code look attractive, look appealing, right? You can make your code look quite beautiful because so it adds colors, adds fonts, layout, and most importantly, it helps your code to be what responsive. So with CSS, you can actually make your code what responsive. Excuse me. So when I say responsive, you already know what I'm trying to talk, right? I'm trying to say making it being accessible in all devices. Now the next technology here is JavaScript. So JavaScript adds interactivity, dynamic behavior, complex functionalities to web pages, right? So for you to be able to click on buttons, for you to be able to okay, you log into a website and then you see a contact form, you want to like send an email to the owner of the website and also for you to be able to like type your messages and then click on the button and it sends those informations to the owner of the website. It's off from the words. You can only do that through what JavaScript. So JavaScript helps for what interactivity to carry out complex functionalities on your web page. Now, the next one is version control, which is Git. So we actually have a course on that, Git and GitHub, which I think it's actually very, very important. If you go through it, you're going to get to understand more about Git. So Git and GitHub is actually one of the core technology used by developers, help to like keep track of your code, help to um, save your code, right? Because most times when people work on build amazing projects and they don't actually save them, maybe in your GitHub, and you just leave it in your system, you can just wake up one day and maybe your system is bad, and or you just find out that okay, you've lost your code. But then when you're able to use your Git and GitHub and then you push it up to that place, keep it safe, whenever you want it back, even if it's not your system, you can just, all you need to do is log into your GitHub account, download your project, and continue working on it. Okay, so can we move on to the next slide? So we're going to be treating framework next. So leading JavaScript frameworks, we have React, we have the Angular, we have the Vue.js. So they are all JavaScript frameworks. So a component-based framework that is highly popular for building user interface. It's known for its virtual DOM, JS syntax, and flexibility. So React is actually is mostly used by developers, especially front-end developers, right? Because it's known for its what? Its flexibility, for its JS syntax. It's popular for building user interface, right? Now, we also have the Angular. Also have Angular, right? So it's a comprehensive framework that provides a structured approach to building web applications. So most of all these things, right? These frameworks, the Vue.js, the React, they all depends on the project you're working on, right? So the project you're working on determines which framework you should use. If you're working on a big project, you're working on a small project, all these things determines what you should use, and also the frameworks that you actually um, that you're good in, or maybe your teammates, the ones that they are actually good at, and all of that. So it all depends on the project. So if you're working on a project, you should research more to know, okay, which one should I use, which one will be better, which one works fine for me, right? So we also have CSS frameworks. We have the bootstraps, tailwind CSS, we have the foundation, the material UI, and all of that. So there are lots of frameworks actually, right? But I'm just going to list these ones. So like I also said, using these frameworks also depends on what the project you're working on. For me, most times I love to work with Tailwind CSS, right? Because I'm used to it and it's easy to work with, and it helps when you're working on responsiveness. It's really, really good, right? So I work mostly with Tailwind CSS. But you can also do your research and know which one works best for you, which one is easier for you to learn, and you get on it. Okay, so the next slide, please. Okay, now so front end to back end, right? So unlike front end development, which focuses on user interface, back end development is more about the behind scenes operations, right? While front end developers create a visual appeal websites, backend developers ensure that the application functions correctly and what efficiently. So everything that happens to ensure that, okay, this website retrieves data efficiently, this website works perfectly, right? It's in the backend, right? So the backend development is the engine room of any web developed application. It's the part that you can't see, but is a crucial component that makes everything works, right? Backend developer focuses on server logic, database interaction, and application architecture. So they deal more on the logic, right? It involves a lot. So if you actually love logics and all of that, I think backend should be. I would suggest you to go into backend and all of that. So can we move on to the next slide? Please, are you guys following? Are you guys understanding what I'm saying? Are you guys with me? Okay, okay. So core responsibilities, right? The functions of backend. So the server side logic. So writing the code that processes user requests, determines the application's behavior. So logging into a website, right? Or maybe you want to change your password, you need a code and all of that. All those things happens in the what? The back end. So the front end just designs the website and then writes an application, write a logic that sends information to the back end. But now the code that is needed for you to actually reset your password comes from the back end, right? So all those your when you log into a website, stores your information and all of that goes to the backend, right? Now, when you get a new phone and you want to retrieve your information, you just need to like log in with your email and you find out that your informations are back and all of that. It happens in the backend, right? So the backend um, processes the user request and determines the application's behavior. Now, the database management, designing, creating, managing database to store, retrieve data efficiently. Now we have the API development, building application programming interface, that's API, building application programming interface to communicate with front-end applications. So the back-end and the front-end interact via APIs, right? We communicate via API. We integrate whatever we're doing with the front end to the back end through what? APIs. Okay, so server administration, managing and maintaining servers, ensuring optimal performance and security. Now, security, protecting your user data, preventing vulnerabilities. So all these things are the functions, the responsibilities of the backend developers. Next slide, please. So the essential tools and technologies. So for programming language, we have the Python, we have the Ruby, the Java, the Node.js, JavaScript. So like I said, all these things still depends on what you want to build, what project you want to achieve, what language you want to learn, right? So before you start your journey in the backend development, you have to understand, okay, what programming language do I actually want to learn? What part do I want to function in? That way you'll be able to know, okay, which language you should learn and which one you should focus on, right? So the database, they make use of SQL, MySQL, and all of that, MongoDB. Therefore, frameworks, they are the Django, which is Python, Ruby on Rails, Express.js, which is Node.js, so Spring and all. Okay, so for cloud platforms where you can actually host your websites and all of that, we have the AWS, the Azure and JPC, right? And they also their version control also makes use of what Git and GitHub. So like I said, before you move into backend, you have to like what do your research, know what you want to achieve, know which path you want to follow. That way you'll be able to know which programming language to learn, because in the tech space right now, there's just too much to learn, right? Too much to learn, and you get confused and all of that. So it's important to like know which one you want to learn and perfecting it. Okay, so please move on. Okay, understanding the backend ecosystem. So database design, deciding on the appropriate database structure to efficiently store and retrieve data. API development, creating endpoints for different functionalities and ensuring data security. Okay, so this is also like the functions, right, of the backend developers, right? Optimizing server setting for performance. So it's their duty to decide on the appropriate database structure, the appropriate place to store data, right, and retrieve data. It's their duty to create endpoints for different functionality, endpoints for your authentication, maybe your login, your sign up, your forget password, your reset password. It's their duty to create these endpoints, these APIs, right? It's their duty to ensure that a website security is tight, right? It's their duty to ensure that it's not vulnerable to hackers and the rest of them. Okay, so it's their duty to increase user loads and resolve issues, right? Being able to debug, being able to troubleshoot, resolve issues in the backend code and infrastructure. This next slide. Okay, so now we're going to be treating on the key difference between the front end and the back end, right? So the first one is focus, right? So front end developers primarily focus on user interface and experience. So they focus on what the user can see, what the user can interact with, while the backend developers concentrate on the server side. So while the front end is the client side, the back end is the server side. They focus on logic, they focus on maintaining data, they focus on the application of the performance. How quick is it to retrieve data? How quick is it to carry out authentication logics and the rest of them? Now, tools, right? The front end developer works with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, while the back end developer uses languages like Python, Ruby. Now, the front end developers work with HTML and CSS, right, and JavaScript. But then now there are JavaScript frameworks which we've treated earlier, which is your React, Next.js, and Vue.js, and the rest of them. While under CSS, we have the Tailwind, the Bootstrap, Material UI, and so many CSS frameworks, right? Now, the backend developers uses language like Python, Ruby, Java, or Node.js, along with databases like MySQL and MongoDB and Progress SQL. Now, for problem solving, the front end challenges often involve user experience and browser compatibility, right? So the problem solving for front end is to ensure that when a user logs into your website, it is user friendly, meaning it's not stressful for the user to navigate through your website, right? It's not confusing for the user to navigate through your website. They ensure that they ensure browser compatibility, right? They ensure responsiveness. They ensure that the website is responsive in all devices. Now, why the backend problems, it revolves around data structure, algorithms, and system architecture, right? right? So the whole logic and all of that is for the backend. It's not that front end don't write logic, right? We also write logics and all. But then algorithm and the rest, the backend deals more on logic, right? Why the front end, we do write logics, but not compared to the backend. Okay, so next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so I guess this is the end. So can we have questions there?
Um, and before we go into questions, I want to show an example of it in practice. So,
Okay.
like we just did front end and back end. So, for example, I just want to show you an example. So we mentioned that the front end is what people can see and interact with. So we have a simple website which is speed.sh. It's like a URL shortening website. You can go here and interact with the website and do anything you want to do with the website. But one thing you can do is that you can actually add a website here and shorten it. So I'm going to try and add a website, like a website link here, and I'm going to try and shorten it. So I'm just going to come here and shorten it. And if I shorten it, we're going to get a short link. You know the way Bitly works. And if I click on this, it's going to open the website on another page. So I just clicked on this, and if I come here, it has opened the website on another page. So I'm also going to share the link. I think I can copy this. Let me just see if I can copy it. I'm just going to share it with you guys so you guys can interact with it. Just like for example, like to illustrate how these things work. So we just created a short link, like a URL shortener. Now, if you want to go in depth to how these things really work, you can actually check out like the backend. So the backend has APIs that you can interact with. So if I share this tab now, you can see the API. You can see like um this is the backend, like this the server side API, like a request to the server side, and we have the response saying hello world. Now, in backend, you can also document um your endpoints using docs. So one very effective way of documenting your endpoints is by using Swagger. So we have Swagger here, and just a way of documenting. So you can have like you have different what you call endpoints. Endpoints are API endpoints are are, 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 are points where people can actually link to get information. Like the front end actually interacts with these endpoints to relay information back to the user. So, for example, now you want to get information on a link, you want to get information on something, you want to actually create a new short link. It's an API endpoint, so you can come here and create a short link, and it does that for you. So let's see how this works. So I'm just going to. So we had a link here, and it says it's expecting the slug. So if we go to the this thing I shared on the chat, you score that at the end of that speed.sh, there is actually a on our like random text at the back, which it represents the slug. So if I copy this and I come to this place and I paste it here, so I'm going to try it out and I paste it here. You're going to see that it gives back some information back about this slug to like so this is what the front it gives back to the front end, brings out the URL. This is the URL of it. It tells us when like the short code, like the shortened URL for it. Tells us when it was last edited, like when it was edited, you can actually edit it. Also tells us when it was the ID of it, when it was created also, and if it's under a project. So this is one example of how it's going to do. And if you copy this and you visit this, it should take you to the same website. So this is a website that is actually meant to take you there. So what happens is that once you enter that website to visit it, you click on it, it leads you to that, it leads you to the final destination, which is this website here. So that's how backend APIs work. I'm just trying to show an illustration so you guys understand that how it works. So you can see like different information. You can also see like header information. Then you how it works. It tells you the server side response codes and some other information about it. What the server is like, the origin server, every other stuff. Although this information is not that this information is not that you're not like it's not really something you can deal with. But if you need to know, like you need to do like analytics or some other stuff, this information can be very good for that. So yeah, so that's it. Does anybody have any question? Okay. So in the absence of questions, I want to say that we're currently working on a Git course. Um, so we're currently working on a Git course. It's called Intro to Git. We're almost done with it. So you can see the website here. It's a very you can see the website here. We have a course on Git and GitHub, and we'll be looking at different areas: introduction to version control, like we'll learn what version control is, get started with Git, how to track your code with Git, work with branches, and using GitHub to manage your code. So right now we have a wait list for those who want to join in early. So when the course is available, currently we're just trying to round up on the course by early the first week of August. Wednesday or the first week of August, the course will be released and it will be open for everyone to use it and join and like take the class. There are videos and there are also text and there are also like coding examples and other resources that will help you to learn how to use Git and GitHub professionally, especially if you want to use it to work. You can also join the wait list. It's you can join the wait list and just have this thing. So I'm going to share this link here so you guys can click on it to like join the wait list if you want to, if you're interested in learning Git and GitHub, or you just want to revise, you know Git and GitHub already, but you just want to revise your knowledge on Git and GitHub. It's just something that is going to be very effective. That I encourage you guys to try it out. I'm also going to share the wait list in the chat also. So this links to the wait list. So if you want to like get better in Git or you don't know Git at all, I just want to learn what Git is, this is an opportunity to do so. The course is absolutely free. You don't need to pay money for the course. It's absolutely free. And you can actually join the wait list. So once the course is available, you will be the first person, will be one of the first persons to know. So you can actually enroll quickly and join the course. It's actually a very interactive course, and it to get you to actually put what you're learning to practice. And a lot of effort has been put into it. And yeah, and I know it's going to like benefit a lot of you because Git is a primary tool that's being used in modern work today. More like a lot of companies, a lot of organizations, a lot of teams, software teams use Git for managing their code and collaborating with each other. So being able to know what Git is and being able to work with Git is going to be very simple. It's something that is very essential. So I'm also going to be showing you like if you're a part of the group, I'm also going to be dropping in like some small tips and small stuff updates on what is going on so far. So this is it. It's going to be it's going to be the first course we release on Dome Academy on Dome Initiative website. So something that is very exciting. And yeah, as we go on, we're going to release more courses on data science, and also we're going to also I think by like after some time, we're going to have, I think October or so, we're going to have a proper web development course, which will take web development from top to bottom. What we'll look from front end to back end. So this is all I have to share. Does anybody still have any question? All right, thanks everyone for being a part of this class. I think ended like we have 10 minutes to spare. So let me just give you guys 10 minutes. Thanks everyone. Thanks also let's thank Adeze for being a very good moderator and being like being a very good tutor, teaching us everything we need to know about web development from front end to back end. Just give shares to Adeze if you can react with like emoji, any emoji, clapping emoji or celebration emoji. All right. All right. Good night, everyone. Good night, everyone.
Thank you so much.